was establishing in his video. And these are all legitimate things that could be brought up in separate discussions, but I think the main point of his video was to simply, and for example, take example colon 666 video. So Veritas 48 is talking about the cosmological, teleological, the Kalam argument, and colon 666 didn't even know what they were. He's just like, I don't even know what that was. You know, and that type of response that dismisses, so it's interesting to me because I'm wondering how you commented on colon 666 video, if in the same way you're treating Veritas 48 with giving, you know, some sort of inadequate attention to the things you think he should have given attention to. I'm wondering if you called out colon 666 for him being just as inadequate and simply dismissing these arguments, not even being aware of what they were. And that's where I feel like there's some inconsistency on the behalf of people's behaviors. Veritas 48's video, when you watch it, is very clear, and he clarifies what he is and is not saying. The fact that someone takes his accusation that a person's philosophical position is inconsistent and somehow interprets that in a personal way to say, oh, what you're saying is that I can't enjoy this. Veritas 48 is not saying that you couldn't enjoy Ben and Jerry's. What he's saying is that philosophically he's thinking that there's an inconsistency going on here. That's far different than him saying you can't enjoy it. And I think that you're sort of just combining those two things, and I think, and you're presenting this thing that he just didn't say.
Well, no, again, Jack, what I'm trying to say is that I realize that he says that I can still enjoy Ben and Jerry's. What I'm saying is that I have yet to get a straight answer from you or Veritas or anyone who actually makes this sort of argument why it is that I could philosophically only, or psychologically, whatever happens to be, only enjoy my Ben and Jerry's ice cream if it is under the context that somehow in some vague way loosely ties, you know, dovetails into the purpose of acting in such a way as fulfilling these arbitrary goals that God has set out for me. I mean, what exactly does any particular part of what I do in my life, and whether or not I can enjoy it and find meaning and fulfillment out of it, what does any of that have to do with whether or not, you know, God, it's pleasing to God, or it is part of God's predetermined purpose? And what I'm saying is, I still don't think that Veritas is being, you know, is being honest about what he is actually posing as an alternative to this sense of purposelessness. And I don't think that he's making a sweeping statement about human psychology that basically says, look, if there's not an overarching narrative, then I mean, what's the point? Well, why should I care what the point is? Is it, I mean, why should I be stopped from doing the things that I do, and I mean, what difference should it make to me, you know, in terms of my enjoyment and fulfillment and those sort of things? What difference should it make to me whether or not it is part of some overarching meaning or narrative, etc.?
But once again, Tim, I don't think that he was getting into what difference it should make to you. And that's what's interesting, is like colon 666 did the same thing. He took basically from the beginning, oh, go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Jack, but if it doesn't make any difference to me whether or not I can feel fulfillment and joy in my life, whether or not my actions are part of an ultimate meaning, then his argument is mute. It's like, and that's where he's really being uncharitable to the atheist. I can enjoy my television and my Ben and Jerry's and my photography and all the other things that I like to do in my life without trying to rationalize it as part of the grand story of existence and that sort of thing. So, and it's really not that difficult to I don't want to say grasp, but it's not that difficult to live. It's not existentially unlivable, and I find that his notion that it is, and is stating that it is to be really condescending, and it's just completely, I mean, if he wants to make that argument, he should be like, look, here's your life, here's my life, here's what I believe and why I do what I do, here's what you believe and why you do what you do, and here's why mine is better. He doesn't make that argument. I understand that he's not making that argument. I'm saying that he should be making that argument, because otherwise, I mean, his whole point is moot. That's what I'm trying to say.
But it seems odd to me that you're pushing off onto him what his whole point should be, when that just seems like a somewhat backwards approach. I mean, when I am in a conversation with someone, I mean, in this case, what Veritas48 was attempting to do, he clearly laid out at the beginning of his video. He was indicating the reasons why he, as an individual, specifically, was not an atheist, and he addresses some things that he found to be inadequate, just as you believe that there are certain arguments that have been given by him that you think are inadequate, and that I don't agree with your stance on that, but I'm certainly not going to respond back, you know, with this mockery and whatever. He was talking about why he thought these things were inadequate, and what happened was, though, you and Colin666 personalized it. And Colin666 went as far as to get into what atheism meant for him. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, Veritas48 described what atheism was to Veritas, and it seems to me that some people are so consumed that in thinking that atheism only means one particular thing, and all atheists share the same definition, which is clearly not the fact. Whether we think that should be the case or not, the fact is that atheists will use that word in a variety of different ways. And I find it really, you know, it's really odd to me that in response to Veritas, someone says, oh, you know what, your definition of atheism is not my definition, and the rest of your video, I'm going to use my definition for atheism and talk about how stupid your arguments are because it doesn't relate to me as an atheist. Once again, forgetting and ignoring the fact that Veritas was laying out the case for why he specifically was not an atheist. And I'm interested, I still don't feel like you're really providing, it seems to me you're not really providing a reason for why. It seems to me what you're saying is, well, you know what, he should have done it this way. He should have said it this way. And yet, you respond back by mocking him in this most extreme childish way. And I'm baffled by this inconsistency. In one way, you're trying to tell him what he should have done and how he should have done it, but then you respond back by ridiculing him in this completely obscene way. I'm baffled.
Well, Jack, my video was not made immediately after watching his and this is what I'm going to say. It was, and I listed this in the description on my most recent video. It was in light of certain comments that Veritas made, and in the way in which Veritas seemed to handle actual objections to what he was saying, and the overall fact that he seemed unwilling to bend to the sort of the notion that, look, I mean, people can deal with their lives without trying to rationalize it in terms of some sort of ultimate meaning, and that his maybe that is a compelling reason for him, but there were certain things which he said, and the way in which he brushed off other things which led me to believe essentially that he was not, I mean, it's okay, it's fine if he believes that, but I mean, he should be willing to listen and hear why it might not be so, and not just in a selective sense. And rather than do that, he's just like, well, I still don't believe that, and he still does not seem to want to address basic issues like why it is that his point of view is superior in regards to meaning.